America, the land of the free, home of the brave, and currently a giant anxiety-ridden mess. The nation is grappling with a multitude of crises that seem to be converging all at once, creating a perfect storm of challenges. We're talking about a country getting pummeled by Mother Nature, while simultaneously tearing itself apart over politics. Natural disasters are striking with unprecedented frequency and intensity, leaving communities devastated and scrambling to rebuild. It's like a reality show where the writers are hopped up on Red Bull and conspiracy theories. Every day brings a new twist, a new headline that leaves the public reeling and wondering what could possibly come next. Buckle up, folks, because things are about to get interesting. The roller coaster ride that is American life shows no signs of slowing down, and the stakes are higher than ever. From devastating storms to nail-biting political showdowns, the United States is facing a perfect storm of challenges. The impact of these events is felt in every corner of the country, affecting millions of lives. In one corner, we've got hurricanes and wildfires wreaking havoc from coast to coast. These natural disasters are not only causing physical destruction but also straining emergency services and resources to their limits. In the other corner, political polls are painting a picture of a deeply divided nation, with President Biden struggling to keep his approval ratings afloat. The political landscape is more polarized than ever, with each side digging in their heels and refusing to budge. And if that wasn't enough drama for one country to handle, the Supreme Court decided to drop a bombshell decision that has ignited protests and reignited debates about fundamental rights. This ruling has sent shockwaves through the nation, prompting widespread demonstrations and heated discussions. Meanwhile, the House managed to pass an infrastructure bill, which is about as common as spotting a unicorn riding a Segway through Times Square. This rare legislative victory offers a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos, but it remains to be seen how it will be implemented and whether it will bring the promised improvements. Add in soaring inflation, a resurgence of COVID-19 cases, and escalating tensions with China, and you've got yourself a recipe for one chaotic news cycle. The economic pressures are squeezing households, the pandemic continues to pose a threat, and international relations are fraught with uncertainty. But hey, at least we've got entertainment news to distract us from the impending apocalypse, right? In times of turmoil, people often turn to movies, music, and celebrity gossip as a form of escapism, offering a brief respite from the relentless barrage of troubling news.
Look, I'm no meteorologist, but even I can tell you that the weather has been acting crazier than a squirrel on espresso. It's like the atmosphere has decided to throw a never-ending tantrum, and we're all caught in the middle of it. We're talking about hurricanes powerful enough to make a Category 5 storm jealous, with winds that can rip apart buildings and floodwaters that can submerge entire neighborhoods, and wildfires so intense they could probably roast a Thanksgiving turkey from space. These fires are not just burning trees, they're consuming everything in their path, leaving behind a trail of ash and devastation. The southern states are getting battered by storms, with torrential rains turning streets into rivers and winds strong enough to topple power lines and trees. Meanwhile, the west coast is on fire. Entire communities are being evacuated as flames encroach on residential areas, turning homes into piles of smoldering rubble. And I'm not talking about your average backyard barbecue fire, where you might accidentally burn a few hot dogs. I'm talking about infernos that are visible from the International Space Station. These are massive, uncontrollable blazes that stretch for miles and miles. It's like Mother Nature is sending us a very expensive, very destructive message. A message that we need to pay attention to the changing climate and its severe impacts. Millions of Americans are facing the brunt of these disasters, with homes destroyed, businesses shuttered, and entire communities displaced. The emotional and financial toll is staggering. Emergency services are stretched thin, working around the clock to save lives and property, often putting their own lives at risk. They're trying to respond to the sheer scale of the devastation, but the resources are limited, and the challenges are immense. It's a stark reminder that when it comes to natural disasters, we're all in this together, whether we like it or not. Communities are coming together, showing resilience and solidarity, helping each other rebuild and recover.
President Biden is facing the political equivalent of trying to juggle chainsaws while riding a unicycle on a tightrope. His approval ratings are about as stable as a Jenga tower after a toddler has had a go at it. On one hand, he's got Democrats who are getting impatient for him to deliver on his promises. On the other hand, he's got Republicans who seem to oppose everything he does, even if it means voting against their own best interests. It's like trying to herd cats, except the cats are wearing red and blue hats and hissing at each other. The economy is a major concern, with inflation soaring higher than a SpaceX rocket. The pandemic is still lingering, like that guest who just won't take the hint that the party's over. And the withdrawal from Afghanistan, well, let's just say it didn't exactly boost Biden's popularity.
The Supreme Court, the place where justice goes to get, well, let's just say it's been a controversial week. The hallowed halls of this institution have seen many decisions, but this one has truly set the nation ablaze. Their latest decision has managed to unite the country in one thing: outrage. Newsrooms are buzzing, and social media is on fire with debates and discussions. The streets are filled with people, their voices echoing the sentiment of a nation divided. Their latest decision has managed to unite the country in one thing: outrage. Okay, maybe not everyone is outraged, but it's safe to say a lot of people are seeing red and not the patriotic kind. Some are confused, others are angry, and a few are even supportive. But it's safe to say a lot of people are seeing red and not the patriotic kind. The anger is palpable, and the frustration is mounting, and not the patriotic kind. The decision has sparked a wave of protests, with people from all walks of life coming together to voice their dissent. The details of the decision are complex, involving intricate legal arguments and interpretations. But the gist is this: the court made a ruling that has major implications for fundamental rights. This ruling has the potential to reshape the legal landscape in ways we can't yet fully comprehend. Think of it like the court just rearranged the furniture in your house without asking. You wake up one morning and everything is different. The familiar has become unfamiliar. You might be okay with it, you might hate it, but one thing's for sure, you're definitely going to notice. The ripple effects of this decision will be felt far and wide. But one thing's for sure, you're definitely going to notice. The shockwaves are already being felt, and the nation is bracing for what comes next. Protests have erupted across the country, with people taking to the streets to voice their anger and frustration. The scenes are reminiscent of past movements, but the stakes feel higher, with people taking to the streets to voice their anger and frustration. The chants, the signs, the sheer number of people. It's a powerful display of democracy in action. Legal challenges are already underway, as lawyers and activists mobilize to fight back. The courtrooms are becoming battlegrounds for the next phase of this conflict, because if there's one thing America loves more than a good protest, it's a good lawsuit. The legal battles promise to be as fierce as the protests themselves. This issue is far from over, folks. The debates, the protests, the lawsuits, they are all just beginning. The nation is gearing up for a long, drawn-out battle. Get ready for a long, drawn-out battle that will likely end up back in the Supreme Court's lap. The story is still unfolding, and the final chapter is yet to be written. Stay tuned.
In a move that surprised absolutely no one, Congress is still divided. However, in a shocking twist that has left political pundits speechless, the House actually managed to pass an infrastructure bill. I know, right? It's like pigs learning to fly, or politicians suddenly developing a sense of shame. Miracles do happen. This bill, which has been in the works longer than some TikTok trends, aims to fix America's crumbling roads, bridges, and other essential infrastructure. You know, the stuff that keeps our country running and prevents us from having to resort to traveling by donkey. Of course, getting the bill through the Senate is another story. It's like trying to get a cat to take a bath. No one's happy about it, and there's a good chance someone's getting scratched. The recent economic downturn has left many families struggling to make ends meet. With rising unemployment and increasing costs of living, the anxiety is palpable. People are worried about how they will pay their bills, afford groceries, and keep a roof over their heads. It's a challenging time for many, and the road to recovery seems uncertain.
As COVID-19 cases continue to rise, vaccination efforts are ramping up across the country. Health officials are urging everyone to get vaccinated as soon as possible to help curb the spread of the virus. Despite the challenges, there is hope that with increased vaccination rates, we can begin to see a decline in new cases and a return to some sense of normalcy.
Tensions between the US and China are simmering once again. Recent developments have exacerbated the situation, with both sides engaging in a war of words and actions. The international community is watching closely, hoping for a peaceful resolution to the growing conflict. It's a delicate situation that requires careful diplomacy and thoughtful engagement.
In the world of entertainment, there's always something new and exciting happening. From blockbuster movie releases to the latest celebrity gossip, the buzz never stops. Stay tuned as we dive into the hottest trends, the biggest stars, and what's making headlines in Hollywood and beyond. Whether you're a movie buff, a music lover, or just someone who enjoys a good story, we've got you covered.